So here we are in a Tractate Tamid, 27b, and the text tells us "Vehanerot dolkin mikan lekan," which is the original text in the Mishnah, Kavav 26a, that said when they go under the tunnel of the Beit HaMikdash, of the Holy Temple, in that tunnel it was a candles. If you remember, we talk about it, candles all over those tunnel. So you can see the way the Kohanim can see the way how they get inside those tunnels, because the Rabbi explained that those tunnels will go in such a way that it's underground, so you need to have a light all the time. So now the Gemara go deeper with this concept. Omeret HaGemara, Rab Savcha hay vayati bebeit hakiseh. So it's a point here, because we speak here about the dignity and about the idea of the particular dignity. The Mishnah mentioned earlier that the Kohen go in that way, the tunnel, in order to go to a place that he can duck himself in a mikveh, and it was a place that they have a lavatory, a bathroom. So now the Gemara dealing with something that I think it's fascinating, which is all the proper decorum, proper behavior when a person needs to go to a bathroom. Not only the Kohanim, but also a few important lessons to our own lives. Rav Safra vayati bebeit hakiseh. Rav Safra was sitting in the Beit hakiseh, in the latrine. Ata Rabbi Abba nacharle. So there are a few versions what happened here. The simple way is Rabbi Abba came to the entrance and he snored, which means that he was looking to see if the place is occupied or not. So in that sense, he doesn't want to walk in a place that he wasn't sure if somebody is occupying or not. So Omar Lei, so Rav Safar said to him, Le'ul ma. He said to him, come in. But the Nafik, when Rav Safra emerged, so Rabbi Abba said to him, in a way he was angry at him. He tried to reproach him, to rebuke him, and he said, Ad kan lo slikat leseir. You have not gone to seir, gamart mila de seir. You have learned practice of seir. So the idea here is not just the seir. Is the seir is the land that the Torah tells belonged to Esau. So that's the descendants of Adamites. That's the place that they occupied. So he rebuked him, because the Gemara said in a few places, especially in Brachos, that the Farsi, the Iranian Jews, and the Gemara said that they have a special, many things to learn. One of them is the idea of modesty, the proper decorum, the proper modesty. So they said here, the Gemara said in the Tractate Brachot, it's interesting to see, it's a Tractate Brachot 8b. So over there, the Rabban Gamliel said that the three things I like the Farsis. So he said one of the things is the way that they behave in the bathroom. So he said, you are like Seir, like the Romans, that they're not modest in the bathroom. So what involved here? So he said, Lav hachetnan, is that not what we learn in the Mishnah? Metzao naul biyadua sheyesh sham adam. If one found it closed, which means you walk in the bathroom and you see that the place is closed, so he knew that there is someone there. Lemeimra de lo mebayel lemeya. Which means that it's improper to enter when it's occupied. So, in other words, you didn't tell me that you are inside. So the Ritva here and the Rosh also explain that The proper decorum is as follows. First and foremost, when a person occupied it, he should lock the door. Which is, if you don't know, you enter the place and you scare the person, and it's in the middle of using the bathroom, and it's wrong, it's improper, and etc. But here there are a few different variations what was wrong. Either that is not modest, like he make a noise like snoring, fake snoring outside, so it's like not modest. Other idea is the Shulchan Aruch said in Orach Chaim that two people should not enter together to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And another important halacha is that people should not talk there. Right. But the Igrot Moshe said in Yoredea, the great Rabbi Feinstein said that that's apply only for going to bathroom for large needs, but not just to urinate. So, in other words, Rabbi Feinstein said in a very clear, succinct way, he said, if a person needs to use a public laboratory, mm-hmm. so there are priority. First, he should go to a place that they have separate rooms, mm-hmm. and if they have separate rooms, when he gets there, he should lock the door. But if there is no other choice, so therefore you can go to a place that public, but because he hold that it's dangerous to wait and to hold it for a long time. Right. In other words, if you have no choice, so you go to open place, but it's only b'diavad. It's not the way it should be. So he's saying then even if in a public bathroom you should prefer to go into a stall then and close and lock the door before you use a urinal. Yes, yeah. Yes. Basically follow this Gemara. Mm-hmm. It's the Igrot Moshe Yoredea Gimel. Mm-hmm. He said it also Memzayin. Anyway, so now the Gemara tried to explain why this Rav Safra has such an hanhaga, such a behavior. Rav Safra Savar Dilma Misukan, who, in other words, he may be thinking that the person who's coming there, maybe he is in an urgent need. Mm-hmm. So maybe it will be dangerous for him if he is not entered immediately. Keretanya. And now we derive another thing from that. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Amud HaChozer mevi את האדם לידי hidrokan. So hidrokan in the Talmud, the Rosh explains that that's the intestinal disease that is one of the things that the Talmud said in several places. A person who carry that disease basically has a share in the world to come, which means that he or she is suffering such a level that in a sense is like atonement for their iniquities, because it's a tremendous suffering. They refer to it here in English as dropsy. Dropsy. Right, which is a sickness that causes one's stomach to swell, according to the notes. So excellent. So especially in Talmudic time, but you see it also application to our time, we hold that when a person is in need, you should not delay in a second. And it's basically following the Torah commandment that said, Bal teshakzu et nafshoteichem, which means that we are not allowed to withhold when it's a need. So an example, they said Silon hachozer mevi et ha'adam l'idei yerakon. So it means a forced back stream of urine in the urinary duct bring a person to suffer from a jaundice, right? Mm-hmm. So in that sense, Rav Safra fear that it will be a signal to Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba will go away, so basically he's endangering himself by suppressing his need, so therefore he allow him to so in other words, the big learning out of that is the special way of going and using the bathroom. Mm-hmm. But going further, the Gemara wants to elaborate on that and tell us few important suggestions, a counsel by two Amoraim, how, and they basically teach their children how they use it. So first we need to remind ourselves, not only we're speaking in the era of the Amoraim, which is about 1700 years ago, but also the way that they dress at that time in Babylon, in the Iran today, the Farsi, they have a long robe
right,
that they use it. So Amar le Chia Brei.
If I could just so go back. So what I take from what we learned before is that although there's very important rules of modesty when using the restroom.
Correct.
However, if one's needs override, it should never hold back. So
correct.
If someone happens to be in there, it may be you may override that.
Yes.
The modesty requirement in order to.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. There are people who has a library in their bathroom and they, right? Take them forever. And
that's right.
I always, when I fly, I see it on the plane that people stuck there forever, and it's a long line of people, and they start knocking the door because
they're worried about the person.
Either worried or other reasons. Yes. Anyway, Omar לרב חייא ברי, וכן אמר לרב הונא לרב אברי, חשיך תקי נפשך, וקדים תקי נפשך. Attend to your needs late at night, and attend to your needs early in the morning. כי היכא דלא תרחק, so that you should not have to distance yourself, right? So, in that sense, a person needs to go far away, because he basically suggested, number one, that the person should go to the bathroom before go to sleep, and then you go in the morning earlier, so you don't need, the place is vacant and you can use it.
Right, when no one else is around, so you don't have to separate yourself from everyone else to go. So
yes, you don't need to separate yourself. And then he said, Tuv vegali, chasi kum, which means, and when you're preparing, right, first squat and then expose yourself, and then, upon including, cover yourself and stand up, which is again, it's a suggestion, especially when you carry this robe, that's the Shulchan Aruch Or HaChaim said, which is the proper decorum when you need to go and then when you leave the bathroom. And while he speaks about the proper manners and proper decorums, mainly for health reason, then he said, Shtof ushtei shtof ve'achit. So here in our society, you don't see much people do that. But you speak when you're drinking from a cup, rinse it out first, and then drink it from it. And when you are done, rinse it out and put it down. So in a simple way, it's a courtesy to the next person. So in a sense that he needs to use it, you have his turn, so you don't carry the germs. But he goes further to say that it's not just the question of germ, it's question of people feel comfortable to use it. Sometimes there are several issues with doing so. So in the same he said, כשאתה שוטף מים, שפוך מהם ואחר כך ייתן לתלמידך. Which means that also when you're not only using a general cup, but you're using for specific, for example, for water, so you pour out a little bit and you clean it, you rinse it, before you give it to someone else, to your student. Otherwise, you may refrain from drinking from the cup. That's the Rosh explained. Kidetanya, as we learn in the Braita, לא ישתה אדם מים וייתן לתלמידו אלא אם כן שפך מהם. Which means that a person should not drink water out of a cup and then give it to his students to drink, unless he pours from water at the edge and then he plays it. ומעשה שבאחד ששתה מים ולא שפך מהם ונתן לתלמידו. It's a story about incidents that one person drank from a water, from a cup, and he did not pour from the water afterward to clean it, and he gave it to his students. ואותו תלמיד איסטניס היה, this disciple was a fastidious person, right? squeamish.
Squeamish, yeah.
Right? ולא רצה לשתות, didn't want to drink. הוא מת בצמא, for sure, he didn't need to understand, he was embarrassed. He teach your presence, so basically he kept it silent and he died on the third, which is hard to understand, but it's a different time. ובאותה שעה אמרו, as a result, they come to conclusion, לא ייתן אדם מים וייתן לתלמידו, אלא אם כן שפך מהם. The person not drink water and give cup to his disciple to drink it, unless he first pours some of it over the edge of the cup, and then he should give it to them. Ravashi אמר, Ravasi add to that, Hilka Chai Talmida de Shafich Kamei Rabbi. Therefore, in the case of a student that pours water out of cup which his master had drunk in the presence of his master, Leit Bei Mishum Afkiruta. There is no objections to his count in account of apparent of disrespect, because his Rebbe needs to do it anyway by himself. The last one, they said, Kol milei lo tiflot be'apei rabcha. Anytime after you eat something, you have some secretion, some saliva coming out, do not split out the saliva in front of your teachers. So in other words, considering disrespectful, bar mikara vedaisa, dichiftila shelev avar damo, except to the squash of the porridge, which is the, if you carry it and you bring it, in other words, if you don't throw it out, it creates, it's like, they call it here, they are like indigestible as a rod of lead, which means that you're reaching a point that it's dangerous yourself.
Right.
So the Gemara said in Sanhedrin that one of the mitot, Arba mitot beidin, one of them was sereifa, was burning. So the way that they did it, they put it inside the person's mouth, and that burns.
As I understood, they would melt a rod of lead and then pour it down the person's throat.
So yes, in that sense, we just need to comprehend the concept. The concept is that a certain food is almost like burning poison food. So therefore, if a person needs to spit it out, it's better to do it even.
I think essentially saying it will basically destroy you from the inside out, essentially tear you.
Yes, but even you feel inappropriate,
right?
You have to do that. So one of the things that amazed me, that how the human body is fragile, and in a sense, when it's come to human body, you cannot depend on your own judgment. The best story, I think, is the story about the President Bush, the first Bush, when he went to Japan, and it was the most highest moment, the President of the United States and the President of Japan, in the middle of the ceremony, he threw up publicly, which shows that, no matter what's the dignitary, right, the person, the body can betray the person.
You don't have control over that.
Yes. Yeah. So now, we're back to the Mishnah and Midos. The Danatam, we learn the Mishnah there. Ish Harabai, it was an officer in a temple mount. Hayam mechazer al kol mishmar u'mishmar. Will make the round to each and every guard in a temple mount. Va'avukot dolkot lefanav, which with the torches lit before him. So what's the idea? They said that they fix location along the walls, right? So there's in general, Ish Harabait was a man that was a guard. His job was to make sure that all the people who are in charge, they're doing the job properly. That was his job. So he has the authority to punish those people who are sleeping while they are in their guard.
This is the Levian.
Yes. Again, it's reminding me of a story. Sorry, I'm digressing today. In the army, we used to call the hood. In the winter coat, the chuku. That was the name. So I remember in the training, we are in the place called Sanur. It's a place in Israel that they train soldiers. And we are in the guard of that arm base. It's a very heavy, hostile area. So the officers at the beginning punished somebody who caught not fully alert, and it was a heavy training, so it's hard to keep alert all the time that you need to be a guard, and you turn. So one of the punishment, when it was a heavy rain, they ask the soldier or whatever, it's freezing cold, not to put the hood at the top of the head because somebody can shot you from the back. So you need to be fully alert all the time. Your head need to be around. Regardless.
Yeah, it diminishes your peripheral vision when wearing the hood, right?
Yes. So one of the punishment, we have an officer, nasty officer. He took a large scissor and he cut one of the soldiers' hood.
Oh.
The chuku. Yes, he cut it publicly, and he said he is going to wear it. So everyone should learn from now on that if anybody will not fully have a full attention while they are in the guard, so they're going to cut it off. I remember that was the symbol that always carry for years and years. I have a hard time to have umbrella. The wood at the top of my head when it's a heavy rain, because I get used to be so alert to anything surround me. So basically here, the Ish Harabai, the person in charge in the Beis Hamikdash, his job was to go around and make sure that all these people who is in service, they are full alert and doing what they're supposed to do. So he said here, V'avukod al kot levanav. So the Tiferet Israel explained that either it was in the wall, a different lights, so you can see them, right? There is another way that, in a simple way that I think, Dati, the way that I think is that other people, like you have a little servant or someone who carry for this big shamis, big officer, somebody carry before him this candle, and then he can see while he's walking in those places that it's very dark, either because of the time or because it's a tunnel. וכל משמר שאינו עומד, ואומר לו, any guard that is not standing when the one who in charge come to the Har HaBayit, ואומר לו איש הר הבית, and he said to him, officer of the Temple Mount, שלום עליך, peace upon you, ניכר שהוא ישן. So we recognize that this person is sleeping, so what did he do? Hofto b'maklo. What did he do to him?
Hit him.
Hit him. The officer will strike him with his staff. Remember, it's a different time. It's not... ורשות היה לו לשרוף את כסותו. So he has a permission in the law of the Har HaBayit, the Beis Hamikdash. He has the permission to do what?
To strike him if he's...
No, but Reshut Hayalo, he has a right to do what?
Oh, to burn his garments.
That's right.
That's right, yeah.
The officer has the right, he is...
to cut off his hood.
He has the right to check how serious is this person who fall asleep. So, and he also make decision how bad it is. So one of the thing he allowed to, it was a important garment, he allowed to burn either part or something in his garment. Basically, the Tiferet Yisrael explained that it was not the entire garment. We're not wasting here money. It's just the top part of the wood, at the top part of the garment. So he and others will remember the importance, because you have to remember the Torah said in the book of Devarim, Bal Tashchis, which means the Torah forbids us to do not destroy. We're not allowed to destroy the guard clothing, right? But the same thing. It's sometimes there's a need. The rabbi is empowered to declare once the guard property ownerless when he is in such a manner that it's serious. So in other words, we want to teach everybody.
What I learned earlier on page 27, when they're talking about the placement of the guards and so forth of the various guards, is there was a minimum number of guards. If you looked at it on the areas they were placing, I mean, there was one guard at each station, except for the one station behind the. And so clearly, it was obviously very important then. I mean, one that fell asleep would essentially open up the whole temple. I mean,
I remember when I was in service in serious places. I meant South Lebanon or Gaza, Gaza doing the Intifada. So we are in one of those refugee camps. It's called Jibalia. It's the most populated refugee camp, and we have those guards and taking turns, and no one's sleeping because we have so much to do. And anybody who caught sleeping or not fully concentrate, they are out. I'll digress again. I tell you a painful story that happened to one of my friends when we get those how do you call it, hiring in a rank. So it was a ceremony, very big ceremony. When we get advanced, for example, they changed me from being I think I'm saying it correctly, from lieutenant to major. No, I'm sorry, from captain to major.
Captain to major, right?
So one of the fellows who's supposed to be part of that ceremony, in other words, they advance in a rank 3 officers. So one of the officers supposed to get the highest in the rank, and he didn't. So I asked around what happened. I talked to him, and it turns that he have like a year break from the service, and he works for the security service. And in that year, his job was to go on El Al airplanes and the private people, diplomats, and being the guards.
Okay.
So, on the airplanes, they have those ears, and they sit on the front and the back, and so it was the highest highest officer that was on the plane, and he used his Israeli are very advanced, so they have those secret cameras many decades before you see it in the other places in the world. Anyway, he photographer, he took a photograph of that fellow napping during the flight. So he was tired, he was a student, he tried to make a living, so he was also a guard on I think it was El Al airplane. But anyway, he reported him, and the next thing he was out of that job, and the next thing it's also like a snowball. The army or withhold he's getting high in rank, and the big scene was that he wasn't guard properly. He just napped, he fall asleep while he's supposed to be fully alert, and this is a long distance flight. So anyway,
just like I said, each position is so important that. Like falling asleep for either of the guards. I mean, you just couldn't have that.
So the people in Yerushalayim omrim, they said to him, Ma kol ba'azara? What type of voice we hear in the azara? Kol ben Levi, loke, which means this is one of the guards that he deserved, that he should be in a sense punished, beating or punished. Uvgadav nisrafim sheyashan al hamishmar. Right, so they should be careful, extremely careful, not to, fall asleep while they are in the guard. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov omer, פעם אחת מצאו את אחי עמו ישן ושרפו את כסותו. This rabbi said that they caught his brother-in-law sleeping, and they burned part of his garments. In other words, they teach people in a hard way.
His uncle, I think. His mother's brother, his mother's brother.
Mother brother, you're right.
His uncle.
His mother brother.
Yep.
אחי אמו, you're right. אמר רבי חייא ברבא, כי מתי רבי יוחנן בהמתניתא אמר הכי. When Rabbi Yochanan reached this Mishnah, he said as follows, אשריהם לראשונים שאפילו על אונס שינה עושים דין, שלא על אונס שינה על אחת כמה וכמה. So he said, praiseworthy the early pious people, that they are in such a level of observance that and they are so strict in their observance that they punish even people that made it for sure not intentionally but unintentionally, but they punish those people who's not doing the job properly. So Tanya Rabbi Omer, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi Omer, Ezohi derech shara שיעבור לו אדם. So you remember the Mishnah that said in Avot that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi said what is the proper path that the person should choose. So here he used a different path, and he said Ye'ehav et hatochachot, which means he should love rebuke, which next to a portion, one of them, the Chukotai, the truth of the matter is it's not only admonition. The Torah gives us a tremendous amount of blessing before they warn us with a series of admonition. But here they said, he should love the person who rebukes him. That's the Rosh said. The notion that wise men appreciated the one who criticizes him, express, if it's someone who's a scoffer or someone who's not serious, so you leave him alone. But if a person you know that he takes you seriously and you're going, so it's good. Why? שכל זמן שיש תוכחות בעולם, נחת רוח בעולם. As long as it's a rebuke in the world, so it's a good, it's a blessing come to the world. טובה וברכה באים לעולם, blessing, success. ורעה מסתלקת מן העולם, and remove the wickedness from the world. שנאמר, ולמוכיחים מן העם, ועליהם תבוא ברכתו. One of my rabbis used to use this pasuk a lot. He says that this is in Mishlei, that said that an account of the rebukes, it will be pleasant. And because of the will, a blessing and goodness. So basically people sometimes don't like to hear the admonitions. You need to know how to say it and what to say. It's not what to say, it's how to say it many times. But if you feel that there's a chance to improve a person, you should tell the person. There is a big discussion in several places in the Talmud, if in our days people take admonition. Many times people like to be paid, they don't like to hear, word of admonition. So it's always the proper balance, not only what to say, but how to say it. ויש אומרים, what is the proper path that a person should choose? יחזיק באמונה יתרה, beautiful. In other words, the person should grasp the trait of extreme integrity, which means that the person should be trustworthy in dealing with people and never take advantage of them, right? שנאמר, עיניי בנאמני ארץ לשבת עמדי, that the person should, it's always, my eyes should be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me. I heard once from the great Rabbi Shwadron, who referred from the Mashgiach of Ponevezh, Rabbi Cheskel, who referred from the Chafetz Chaim, something that it's really mind-boggling story, that the Chafetz Chaim, Rabbi Israel Miradin, he passed away before the World War II. So the world was shaking after the World War I because, it was tremendous agony. So the Chafetz Chaim said that what you see in the World War I, it's going to be another world war, and this will be so bad that the World War I will look like nothing. And then he said, and after the World War II, it will be another World War, number 3, that the World War II looks nothing compared to the World War III. So the Talmidim, the students, heard that. They're all petrified over this statement from such a great righteous man. So they asked him, what do you mean, Rabbi? And the Chafetz Chaim said, I don't mean physical death. He says, World War II, yes, I can prognosticate, I can prophesize a huge death toll, that World War I looks nothing compared to World War II. But he said in the World War III, it will be a war over emunah, over faith in Hashem. And that war of testing people how serious they trust in Hashem and how trustworthy they behave to each other, which means basically when a person is not faithful in a business deal and a person not faithful in each other, is a lack of faith in Hashem. So the whole idea of having emunah, or having faith in God at the midst of tremendous amount of challenges in the sense of a collective challenges and a personal challenges, this he called the World War III before the Mashiach time. It will be such a challenge in emunah that people never faced that earlier, the first and the second, and that's very appropriate in Parshat Bechukotai. אומר רבי שמואל בר נחמני, אומר רבי יונתן, כל המוכיח את חברו לשם שמיים זוכה לחלקו של הקדוש ברוך הוא, שנאמר מוכיח אדם אחריי. So if a person, anyone rebuke his fellow for the sake of heaven, merits they get an olam haba. ולא עוד אלא שמושכים עליו כוחות חסד, that indoor upon him a charm, שנאמר כן נמצא ממחליק לשון, that it's a proper to say it if he rather to someone who's try to ingratiate himself with others. So usually people don't like to hear admonition, but we always learn from Yaakov Avinu the way that he talk. You know, remember in the when he is about to meet his potential wife, so he talked with the shepherds.
Right.
So he rebuked them, but he used the word achai, my brothers, so they accepted his admonition. Why you are in the middle of the day, you don't do your job of, dwelling the well, doing what you're supposed to do, all these shepherds.
Which comes from what we learned about criticism. Is
Correct.
First it must come out of love.
Correct.
For the,
Correct.
The same thing with rebuke. It should be
Correct.
done out of love and private and in a positive way for the future. So.
Right. The Mishnah state, מצאור נעול יודע, if he found the olat, he knew, מי שרוצה לתרום את המזבח, if one wished to separate the portion of ash from the altar, right? He's waking up early to immerse himself in a mikveh before the appointed Kohen has arrived. So the Mishnah said, הגוף הקשיא, the Mishnah itself is a question. Why? מישהו רוצה לתרום את המזבח, if one wishes to separate the portion of ash from the altar, משכים וטובל עד שלא יבוא הממונה. He is going early in the morning and duck himself in mikveh before the Kohen who is in charge comes.
And then is that when they would have the lottery?
That's before the lottery.
But everyone who wanted to participate would have to immerse first, and then they could be in the lottery.
Yes. Okay. Good. Alma la befais tal yamilta. So it means that we see that the matter of the choosing Kohen for the service, it does not depend on the lottery. So now it's a stiro ve'adar tanei, and after the Mishnah that teaches us yavo ve'ifayez, whoever is immersed should come and participate in the lottery. Almat befais tal yamilta. So thus we see that the matter, as David mentioned, we choose a Kohen that does not depend on the lottery. So the two statements look like they are opposite, they're contradicting each other. Omar Abaye said, Lo kasha, it's no difficulty. Why it's not stira? He said, Kan kodem takana, kan lachar takana. So he said that all of that happened. One is a period before the taking place of the lottery. Here, the later clause, the Mishnah is discussing the period after they already taking place of the lottery. Detnan, we learn in the Mishnah, Barishona kol mi שרוצה לתרום את המזבח תורם. At the beginning, at the first, the Kohen who wanted to separate the ash from the other altar separated בזמן שמרובים. With the many event of the Kohanim, רצים ועולים בכבש, they ran and they ascend at the ramp of the mizbeach, of the altar. כל הקודם את חברו בתוך 400, whoever ran fast and preceded his friend in a 4 amot, right? On top of the ramp, zacha. Ooh, they go fast. Whoever catch first, he won the privilege. היו שניים שווים, if two guys in that competition running fast,
tied,
and they tied, so what do? הממונה אומר להם, הצביעו. The appointed Kohen said to them, okay, let's take put your finger, right? ומה הם מוציאים? Whatever they put out, אחת או שתיים, 1 or 2 fingers, ואין מוציאים גודל במקדש, they not put the thumb in the temple. מעשה, והיו בשניים שהיו שווים, there are 2 guys that they are running equal, right? רצים ועולים בכבש, they rush fast at the top of the כבש of the ram, ודחף אחד בהם את חברו, and one push aside his fellow, his colleague, ונשברה רגלו, and he broke his tibia, his leg. וכשראו בדין שהיו בדין לבדי סכנה, remember the story with the etrogim in the Beis Hamikdash? So the best din saw that people are, expose themselves to danger. התקינו שלא יתרמים את המזבח אלא בפיס. So they make a decree they're not going to run like that. So the Kohanim should be selected the service by making this altar lottery. So now the Mishnah elaborated on that. It said, Rava said, Idi v'idi lachar takana. Both of these come, both the early and the later clause, begin again after this decree, and this is the way you should learn it. מישהו רוצה לבוא ולפייס, someone who wants to participate in lottery, first, משקים וטובל עד שלא יבוא מונה. First of all, the proper decorum, you wake early, and you come there before the Kohen who is in charge come there, right? Because otherwise you don't do it without ducking in the mikveh. So first of all, the person needs to duck himself, prepare himself, and then he can do it. Now let's just very quickly do the Mishnah. The Mishnah speak about the activity of the appointed Kohen. נטל את המפתח, the Kohen take the key, פתח את הפשפש, he opened the postern gate, ונכנס מבית המוקד לעזרה, he enter from the hall of the fire to the courtyard, ונכנסו הכהנים אחריו, the other כהנים follow him, ושתי אבוקות של אור בידם, they carry 2 torches of fire in the hand, נחלקו לשתי כיתות, the כהנים will split to 2 groups, אלו מלכים באקסנדר דרך מזרח, this will going to the east, ואלו מלכים באקסדרה, the other one go to the west, היו בודקים והולכים, they will check the temple utensils and walk, עד שמגיעים למקום עושה חביתים, until they reach the place they make חביתים, הגיעו אלו ואלו, they met each other at that place, אמרו, and they said, שלום, הכל שלום, it is well, it is well. העמידו עושה חביתים לעשות חביתים, they appointed from among the number of makes the חביתים to make of חביתים, מי שזכה לתרום את המזבח הוא יתרום, whoever is chosen to remove the ashes from the altar, go and remove the ashes, והם אומרים, and they say, the כהנים said to him, הווה זהיר שלא תיגע בכלי, be careful not to touch the utensil, meaning the shovel, עד שכדש ידיך ברגליך מן הכיור, since they have a barefoot, they need to sanctify your hand and feet from the forest, והרי המחתה נתונה במקצוע, and behold the shovel is located at that corner, בין הכבש למזבח ומרבו של כבש, between the two and the west side of the כבש, אין אדם נכנס עמו, a person should not enter between the altar and the other, ולא נר בידו, he doesn't carry the torch, אלא מהלך לאור המחד, the Kohen who walk in the light of the prey, לא היו רואים אותו, they didn't see him, ולא היו שומעים את כל, they didn't hear the sound, so עד שהיו שומעים כל העץ שעשה בין קטין מוכני לכיור, until they hear the sound of the wood that they make it in the כיור, והם אומרים, הגיע עת קידש ידיו ורגליו מן הכיור, this is the time that he sanctified himself from the Kiyor. Thank you.